Welcome everybody to the Planning Commission meeting for tonight, August 6th. All 7 members of the commission are present. Our first item on our agenda tonight is the consent calendar regarding the minutes from our previous meeting. Any discussion to the minutes from the previous meeting? Or I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner England?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Thomas?
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Commissioner England and a second from Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion to the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then we'll move ahead to our one and only public item for the evening. This is the Redwood and Beeman Restaurant. It's 7173 South Redwood Road. Preliminary site plan and conditional use permit for a restaurant doing fast food in a CG zone. Avenue Consultants is our applicant, Greg Wall. Are you present? Are you, Greg? Come on forward, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
The floor is yours. We're just reading your letter. Sorry, we just barely got handed to us.
No problem. I misunderstood that. So, to introduce the letter, that's a letter from the neighbor to the north. Larry Velarde is the son of Mrs. Dora Velarde, who lives there, and he handles her affairs. And he works for the Forest Service, so I apologize. He was a little tricky to get in touch with, and we didn't have it ready in time for the staff report. But I'll introduce a little bit about the project, and I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards. The owner of the property is R4J Investments, and the owner's name is Rob Daly. He's a very nice guy. He's actually the mayor of Holiday, and as such, he's pretty busy. So he asked Avenue Consultants to help him with getting the entitlements and permits. I work for Avenue Consultants. We're based at 6605 South Redwood Road, just a few blocks south of you here. My name is Greg Wall, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm actually on the Planning Commission in Farmington. So the project itself, the subject parcel is 0.78 acres. It's located at 7173 South Redwood Road. And kind of as a point of reference, the parcel to the south is being developed and built as a car wash right now. So it's the parcel just north of the car wash. The road is actually an access easement, 7190 South. It's called Beeman Street, and it leads to the Somerset Villas condominium complex to the east, and the new proposed use will be a restaurant with a drive-through. The restaurant building will have about 1,200 feet of retail space on the north and about 1,700 feet for a restaurant with a drive-through on the south. The restaurant and the retail are both permitted uses in that area, but the drive-through for the restaurant is a conditional use. The parking ratio is a blend of the 3 uses in the building. The restaurant has 1 space per 100 square feet, and then the retail has more intense for the retail sales floor and less for the stockroom. But the requirement was 22, and we have 22 spaces. The requirement for the stacking in the drive-through is 6, and we have 9. And the building itself, we presented it to the Architectural Review Committee. Wow, I realized I wasn't close enough to the microphone earlier. Sorry about that. And I think it's a very nice looking building. They voted 5-0 in favor of it. Since that time, they have finalized the specification on some of the stucco colors, and the only small modification is it would be shades of gray rather than tans and beiges on the stucco. And I've got an updated rendering if you'd like to see that. But the project itself, I think it will lend itself well to the area and to the traffic volumes on Redwood Road, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do we have that updated, Ms. Elgin? Do we have that updated schematic on there, or are we just gonna take these papers?
Being passed out now.
Yep. So the one that's coming around is a 3D rendering, and it's the same building, same materials. It's just the stucco colors are the more of the gray tones instead of the beige and tan tones. And then before, the area that's the lap siding that's maroon was more of a tan. So the maroon is actually fairly similar to the colors of some of the Somerset Villas condominium townhomes to the east.
Any questions for the applicant? Sorry, I assumed you were done.
I am. I
yeah.
am happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Green?
So, in this picture, orient me on the directions.
So that picture is looking westward towards Redwood Road. Do we have the site plan that we could bring up?
So, I guess the question I'm asking, because I just want to make sure, because I don't read plans very well. The drive-in window is closest to Redwood Road.
No, if it's okay, I'll point it out. Is it possible to zoom in a little bit on that?
Oh, it's on the south side.
So the cars will enter here on Redwood Road and then come through the parking lot and go through the drive-through this way, and this is the stacking lanes. And then the drive-through window will be on the south side of the building right there.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions? Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll go ahead and reserve you some time after the public hearing if we need to, okay?
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Elgin, this is all yours.
Good evening, Commissioners. This project is located in an area that's designated community commercial and is zoned commercial general. The two properties to the north are zoned SC2, and the owner of this parcel owns the furthest parcel to the north and has the first right of refusal to the parcel directly to the north. The zoning administrator has already approved a reduction in the landscape buffer on that north end to facilitate access to those other two parcels in the future, because they will not be allowed access off of Redwood Road. The applicant has also requested to not put in a masonry wall along that landscape buffer between their project and the neighboring house to the north, and has requested that slats be put in the existing chain link fence instead. And the letter of support from the property owner that you just received, he has given his support for that and asked that a condition of approval be added that would require them to put the slats in there. Other than that, this project meets all the requirements from the municipal code, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open up our public hearing. If you have anything you want to talk about on this specific application, please come on forward and share your name and your address for the record, and you've got 3 minutes to share your thoughts with us.
My name is Steve Ekman. I'm with the HOA board in the community. I guess the question for me, now I understood they're entering off of Redwood Road. Is that on to Beeman, or is that directly? That is a very small street, and you've got a car wash on one side, now you're gonna have a restaurant on the other side, and our entrance into our community. Is there any stipulation on how much traffic can go through there. It's gonna be a morass. And the other thing is, what kind of a fast food restaurant is it, and what are the hours? We'd like to know.
Okay, thank you.
Matthew Cox, I'm the resident at 1637 Beaman Street, which is just right in off the fourth home in on the bottom right. Again, making a left-hand or right-hand turn, especially a left-hand turn from Redwood Road onto Beaman Street at this time of the day is extremely difficult. The rest of the time, it's really not that big of a problem. I did hear something new that was not in the original papers, in that the conditional use permit is that there will be no other entrances on to the other adjoining parcels to the north, the two to the north. That is only gonna, I'm assuming the developer is going to develop more with only one access off of Beaman Street. I would look at that condition seriously and maybe add another access or allow another access into the property off of Redwood. I think if there was one at Beaman and one at the top, potentially, that would reduce traffic on that turn. What you have is you have people heading north on Redwood Road, turning onto the DI, which is directly across, and you have all the residents coming in at the exact same time, and the intersection is the exact same point. And if you add the car wash and others, it's just gonna increase that particular spot. If there was another access spot in future developments, I think that would alleviate that problem a lot. So I guess that particular thing, I don't think that was sent notice to the residents that this was gonna be the only access for any future commercial development to the north. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring this back to the planning commission. Let's just have staff quickly answer those two questions. One on the hours. I know we can't talk about who the restaurant's going to be, right? We don't know who that is, but do we know the hours of that restaurant?
The proposed hours were 4:30 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Sir, hang on one second. We'll bring you up in just a minute. I'm assuming those hours are right, 4:30 to 9? Okay, and then,
Yeah, I can speak a bit about the traffic. There was a traffic impact study done that was provided to our traffic engineer that found no issues with this current design. As far as accesses go, we're really at the mercy of UDOT, because that's a UDOT road. I believe the reason we had them stubbed to the north is because UDOT is going to be very restrictive of accesses, but I imagine if all three of those parcels were to develop, there would be another access. The Beaman Street would not be the only access. But again, we're at the mercy of UDOT as far as accesses go, so we have little say.
okay. Commissioner Luthi.
I just pulled this up a little bit beyond what this is off of Google, and above those three parcels is actually right where it ties into where the credit union and the Simple Sushi, so it looks like there already is another access, if you can tie access agreements to right above it, that doesn't actually get to Redwood, because they've already got an access to Redwood. Does that make sense? So if you just keep, can we pull that up so that everybody can see what I'm seeing?
There's a cement wall there right now between the credit union and the parcel to the south of it.
Right, but there's nothing to say that that can't be removed. I mean, there could be another cross-access agreement with the access that's already there. It's not like they're going through a property. There's a business right there that there could be a possible cross-access agreement with. In the future, right? That would eliminate that whole concern.
Yeah, I know which
Do you know what I'm
access
talking
you're
about?
talking about. There is a wall there, and there's nothing to say they can't share that access. A future developer would need to get an easement from whoever
It
the
could be a
property owner.
discussion point when the next couple are trying to be developed to
Sure.
alleviate this concern. There could be a discussion that there would need to be some sort of a cross-access
Sure, on that
with
future
that area.
development, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, I think it'd be it would definitely be a good idea, because the future development would be subject to access spacing from that one that you're referring to.
Right.
It
So-
would make a lot more sense to have that shared access than to
Absolutely,
create
it would.
another access point on Redwood right next to the other one. That wouldn't make sense.
And I doubt UDOT would allow that. Again,
Exactly, I think
this
you'd
is
have to be
more,
very against
You,
that.
yeah, you can see right there, so there's the two lots right up above, and then you've got access right through there
zoom in.
I use that all the time when I go
to
through.
where all that other stuff is. So all that would need to be done is that wall, and the wall's probably there because that isn't being used. But if those other two properties get developed, it makes sense to just punch it through and use the Redwood access right there to the north. Sure, but I'm saying that if there's a new restaurant or something that's going to go in here as part of this whole commercial development, it makes sense to punch that through.
I
have a
agree
cross-access agreement.
100%, but I don't know I mean, it's a good idea. I don't know that we could force that development that's exists into a access agreement, but it's possible that they could do that.
It's a nice idea, but there's nothing we can do on this application today. with
Agreed,
that, yeah.
agreed, it's not for this application, but for the future applications, that's what the discussion was had. I think that it's something that we can at least discuss at that
I
time.
think it's a
Yeah,
great
I
idea.
agree.
Just regarding this letter, has everybody had a chance to read through it? We're okay with his recommendation there? As far as that condition goes? Commissioner Green?
Well, and I know that in the pre-meeting, we had a concern about whether the property owner wanted a masonry wall or if it's okay with the chain link fence. It's clear that they're okay with the chain link fence as long as they put some trees and put some slats in the fence. So I think I'm okay with that. I think that's enough of an affirmative from the property owner to the north, to say that that's okay. Let me think about something for a second.
So we discussed the fence downstairs, but he's got this extra condition about including extra trees. He doesn't state a specific amount. Is that something that we can say, add 5 more trees, or is that contingent upon this parcel? I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
That would be up to the planning commission. You can either say add extra trees or hand that over to staff. Just tell them to submit their landscape plan and for staff approval.
I feel like as long as the property owner's okay and the applicant's okay, I'm okay with staff figuring that out too. Commissioner Green?
When we dealt with the car wash, and I'm trying to remember back to my long-term memory, and sometimes that doesn't work very well. Is Beaman Street a public street, a private street? Who owns the right-of-way? And I know there was a discussion, and that's what I am trying, I just want to get that, because I remember we had this big discussion over right-of-ways and the street width and a bunch of other stuff, so maybe you can address that.
Yes, so Beaman Street is not a public right-of-way. It is a private street. In fact, it's not necessarily a private street. It is a street that resides on a permanent easement. That easement is in favor of the car wash lot, this lot in question today, and then every owner of the Somerset Villas. So it's currently a private street that resides on an easement, if that answers your question.
Makes it even more complicated.
Yeah, I wish I'd have studied my real estate law better, because I couldn't stand easement, so never mind. So this will be my follow-up question so that this is clear. Because UDOT would, particularly for 7173, that's the only piece of property that I'm focused on now. I'm not worried about 55 or 41 as we go to the north. As we talk about 7173, if we don't, because we've heard some concerns from some neighbors saying that this is gonna create a lot of traffic, and the implication is they kind of don't want it there. The fact of the matter is that the property owner at 7173 has an easement into that property, and if we didn't allow that, then their property, they couldn't use because UDOT's not allowing that piece of property to access Redwood Road. Is that correct?
As I understand UDOT's position, yes.
Okay. All right, I think that answers my question. Oh, I do have one more question for you, and this one's for Lisa. I know that there used to be something in the code when we did fast food restaurants and you have the squawk box for the fast foods. Is that still part of the code, or anything like that? Is there anything we have to do that's outside the code to mitigate the sound from the speaker for the fast food drive-up?
No, there's not.
Anybody want to make a motion? Any further discussion here? Commissioner England?
I think we're ready for a motion. I'm going to take a stab at this with the trees and fence here. I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan and conditional use permit for Redwood and Beeman Restaurant located at 7173 South Redwood Road in the CGZC Commercial General Conditions of Zoning Zone District, subject conditions 1 through 4 of the staff report, and an additional condition requiring either slats or screening in the existing chain link fence and appropriate trees as per staff.
We got a nod over there from the attorney, so we're good on that one. We have a motion. Commissioner Luthi.
I'll second.
Excellent. We have a motion from Commissioner England and a second from Commissioner Luthi. Any discussion to the motion? Commissioner Green.
I just want to make sure that the people in Somerset Villa understand why we almost have to vote yes. Understand that traffic leads into Somerset Villas. I understand that, and I understand that this is going to be an increase in traffic on that street. Unfortunately, because the property is zoned the way it is, the uses are permitted, and we can't stop it. The conditional use is for a fast food restaurant to add the conditions to it. The fact that UDOT won't allow us to put an exit onto Redwood Road, if we don't allow them to use the easement into the property, we're actually making a taking, and the city would end up buying the piece of property, and I'm not willing to do that. So that's why, that's one of the reasons why we are probably in some ways bound to vote, and yes, it's going to add some traffic, but because of the easement onto 7173 allows traffic into that away from Redwood Road, we have to let the person use the easement that they have. And so please understand that yes, we understand that there's a traffic issue, but and I think Commissioner Luthy's done a good job advocating for a north side access as the other two properties are developed.
Excellent. Any additional discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. That concludes our meeting for the evening. Mr. Langford.
Just for the public record, I didn't want to interrupt your vote, but just to clarify regarding the trees on the north side, we have an existing code section that will provide clarity to the staff, and let me just read it into the record. It's 13-4-12, let's see, B 6G. Basically, it says that the zoning administrator has the authority to reduce landscape buffer widths, and when that person does that reduction, they have the ability to require the same amount of trees and vegetation that would have normally been required without the reduction. So we have plenty of authority to require those trees.
Excellent. Very informative. Thank you.